Do you have a car like from a dealership that ever sends you stuff like this?
No, actually.
Constantly getting mail telling me that like there's a recall or they have to like fix something on my freaking car.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh great, I don't want to do that, don't care, do not discard, why?
No, my dealership never emails me anything or sends me anything.
What kind of car you got?
Nissan.
What kind?
Altima?
Oh, those are dope, yeah. It's kind of like they're like the Accord of Nissans, yeah.
Pretty much,
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's like the mid-size, like kind of sedan.
Yeah.
Premium.
It's really nice. It's really nice to drive around. I used to have a Honda Civic. I love the Honda Civic.
Weird.
Yeah,
Anything good in here? Whoa. Hey, what? Oh, it's a new one? Whoa. This is the same. I mean, it's just my card. It's just, ooh. It's a new one. It's in better shape. Let's freaking go. My Best Buy card. This is the best. Dude, there's one card I would recommend that you get a credit card.
Oh.
Get a Best Buy card.
Which one?
A Best Buy card.
A Best Buy credit card?
It is by far the best card. Like, just the best one I've ever owned. It's not because of its interest rate. It's not because of the credit card. Dude, that thing. You can, if you buy something over usually about $200 at Best Buy, which is almost everything you ever get there because it's all good stuff. You can finance it for either 24 or 48 months without any interest whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
So like literally, you can just go.
Like a new TV.
Yeah. So you can literally just go buy a TV, computer, this, that, and the other, and they will not charge you $1. And as long as you pay it off within that 24 months, you don't pay interest on it. So it's basically like, dude, I have literally like revamped my business with this bad boy. Like anything that we need, anything I have to get, I'm just like, buy, done, don't think twice about it. Like pay it, pay the interest, or pay the payments and no interest, and voila.
That's awesome.
It's freaking amazing, bro.
And you pay it off just through like a Best Buy portal or something like that? Mm-hmm. Do you get discounts with the card?
Not particularly, but I also pay. The other thing I would recommend is there's two things that as a grown adult, and I'm our age, you should get. One is a Best Buy credit card. Two is it's $300 a year, I believe, but it's $300 a year, and it's called makes you a Best Buy total. You're a total member.
I've seen that before.
Best $300 I ever spent in my life.
Really? What does it do?
Gives you every single maxed out protection plan on any piece of electronics that you buy. Whatever they offer, you have it. When I bought Robin, my fiance, I bought her the new MacBook Air, MacBook Air, right? Bought that for her. It comes with Apple Care immediately, just full Apple Care, like 3 years. Dude. It comes with everything. I just bought, so my phone right now, I have the new Google Pixel. I'm a Pixel dude, like I'm just like addicted to, I'm addicted to freaking Google stuff. But yeah, the new Pixel 8 Pro or whatever, immediately comes with, coverage, comes with everything. Like it's freaking, just everything has coverage. Like the moment you get it, coverage, maxed out. And I had a motherboard that I bought for the new computer for the company, and like in 3 or 4 days it like shorted out and started like frying stuff, and they literally just took it back, returned it, gave me a brand new one on the spot, just nonstop. And they extend your return policy on anything you buy there. So usually it's like 15 days that you get to return something to after you buy it. It extends it to 2 months, 60 days. So anything you buy, 60 days, no questions asked. Open it, use it, do everything you want to it, money back, guaranteed, done. It is like mind-blowing, game-changing. Like, dude, I have saved me so much money and kept me from losing so much stuff. Like, it's been, it's by far the coolest thing I've ever bought. So, Best Buy credit card, don't actually buy stuff on it other than electronics from Best Buy that are over $200. And then literally just pay them off in 48 months and you will not pay a drop of interest. And then yeah, the total member package or whatever. It's freaking amazing. So
that's dope.
Rock and roll, bro. We're in there. Yeah, enjoy that nice way to start the podcast.
Yeah.
It's a little light talk, Life.
Best Buy credit card, coverage plan.
Dude, it's so funny. Like I laugh. I think it was what's his name? Cardona, or what's his name?
Cardona.
The freaking financial dude, Glenn or something. What's his name? Cardonia or something. Like what's his name?
I think Cardonia. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So Glenn Cardonia, he like gives you financial advice. You're like,
Right.
yeah. So today's podcast, we're gonna get financial advice, and like it's just maybe like get a Best Buy credit card. Like terrible interest rate on actual buys, but dude, get the financing, get the total member package, buy electronics, just return it after you. Like it's just like it's amazing.
Dude, definitely like after $200, like
dude,
most everything from Best Buy is over $200. So.
Dude, and like it is unheard of for you to get money back for like a computer part. Something only Best Buy would ever do. Motherboards can like come out of the package just like fried or useless. So our computer chips, there's almost nowhere in the world that would actually return a computer chip to you. Like if you buy it and open the package, it's yours and there is no return policy. Like because computer parts you can mess up really bad. So like I could just like crank up the voltage and just fry a CPU like with no problem. And so no one will ever return those like anywhere, any place you order them from. But Best Buy just has so much money, they just don't care. They're just like, yeah, return it. Whatever, you fried it, cool. Don't even like they don't even care. They don't ask what's they're like, is something wrong with it? They're just like, cool, you wanna return it? Yeah, done. Here's your money back. Like, no questions asked. It is freaking amazing. So yeah, Best Buy credit card and total member package. Let's go.
I've been looking at different credit cards to look into. Like United does a credit card for every like $100 you spend, you get a couple thousand miles or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been looking at the United credit card, but Best Buy does sound like a pretty good deal because I need to get a new computer, and Margot and my fiance are actually. Oh, you got it. So you know.
Oh, I know about United. I personally like prefer United as my like my airline. I love it. I love United. Like I've tried to fly United if I can. Now, honestly, it's freaking expensive though. Like United is kind of like almost overpriced, but like it's expensive. But I freaking love it. So I think it's because my mom, when we were kids, she literally only flew Continental. Like Continental was her thing, and Continental became United. So United is what used to be Continental. So
my uncle used to actually work for United. He started there in high school, and he worked all the way through college. And in fact, he worked at United, went to school full time, and then worked at a hotel in Hawaii, I think. And so he just cycled through United, school, he'd fly back to school, and then he'd go back to Hawaii to work. And he would just cycle through. And so now I think he has like certain miles, but he gets United basically for life.
Really?
Because he's worked 15 plus years. And so whenever he wants to fly for a business trip, because he's an entrepreneur now, he just flies somewhere and does business stuff.
So tell me a little bit about what your uncle does, man.
So he actually does something called Product. So basically he's kind of like a product coach, teaching people how to promote more so physical products. He's very good at coaching people on what connections they should get, who they should connect with, where they should produce their goods, how they should sell online or in person. He's just really good at coaching.
So he's like a consultant.
Kind of, yeah. He's basically a consultant.
And like, what do you know? Anyone like like the types of like clients he works with, like what type of products or services they sell? Or, like, do you know anything about it? Like,
there've been a few different products that he's done before, and they're all different types of products.
Yeah.
Like I know one of the products he did was called a Switch Pod, which is basically like a tripod, except it's also like a selfie stick, and so it has like an L-shaped handle like that.
Yeah.
Curves like that, and you just have it and you carry it around, and then whenever you're done, you just open it up and you pry it up, and that's actually, I think it's #1 rated tripod for YouTube creators. So it popped up pretty good. So he has like a stack of like over 50 Switch pods in his house. And what else did he do? Yeah, he's done all sorts of stuff. He even did a longboard company. So he created longboards, and I actually worked with him for a little bit with that. Just in the
Wait. So your uncle also made longboards?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's called J Sports. Longboards of Southern Hawaii. I think it went under business because they kind of just like figured that it was too competitive, and so they just kind of left it there. I'm sure
that's a hard. Oh, dude, honestly, I would say this is something which you may not know because I don't know. Were you a skateboarder when you were a kid?
No.
Okay, so I was like, not only was I a skateboarder, but I was a videographer. So like all the cameras that we're using for the podcast right now were bought originally for like, filming skateboarding, which is kind of funny because I think about this one like right here. This one right here is like, it has literally a depth lens on it. So maybe your camera will like capture it a little bit. I don't know, probably not. So. But my depth lens we're literally using it to get this like double fisheye shot of us both in frame right now. I've been around skateboarding for a very long time, and there are very, very, very few skateboard companies that like have longevity. You know what I mean?
Really?
It's just it's a tough industry to like stay kind of like relevant in.
That's weird.
You know what I mean?
Why is that?
It's just it's so easy to make a skateboard. So like the market is flooded. You know what I mean? Like just anyone, like if you and me wanted to start a skateboard company right now, boom, we could do it in like a day. Like literally, we could have the boards, we could print the stuff. So, having a skateboard company is as much as like printing graphics onto a pre-bought skateboard. So like, there's a million skateboards that are available to you right now, and we could order blank ones. We could literally just get a press. We could technically press them ourselves. It's not the most difficult either, and then just throw some graphics on it, and then blah, we got a skateboard company. So it's really easy to do. So to hear that, unfortunately, like a longboard company went under, I'm like, does not surprise me at all, because like that is just so super common. But yeah, that's awesome, man, dude. Have you ever got to like, how much time do you get to spend with your uncle?
So I think not too much time, honestly, because I moved around a lot as a kid.
Yeah. I
kind of grew up in Provo, Utah. When I was a kid, and I moved to Texas. I think when I lived in Provo, I saw him a little bit, but I have never really like lived in the same area as distant relatives.
Yeah.
So it was kind of hard to see him a lot, but there's multiple summers where we hang out and stuff like that. So I mean, I saw him last summer. I saw him last summer, and then I saw him the summer before that. And I think for Christmas I saw him. So we see each other frequently. I see him at least once or twice a year. But
nice.
We also call a lot because I used to actually work with him a little bit and do some side projects when I first came back from France.
Yeah.
My mission. I was actually able to do some podcast stuff with him. He sent me all of his pre-recordings for the podcast, and he had me listen to each podcast where he had guests, and I would kind of write down the times in which it was a snippet of a very interesting part of the conversation.
Yep.
And I would basically cut these snippets so that we could use it as a marketing tool. So I could put it on Spotify, we could put it on Snapchat, Instagram, so that when people aren't going on Reels, they see a little snippet with maybe a little graphic or a little art.
Yep.
And they can just watch it and they can hear our podcast, and that way he would invite guests on the podcast, and we'd have a bigger audience because of what was put on there.
No doubt. Word. So it's crazy you said, like we talked about it just the other day at the like Provo, because
right. Right.
So the first company that I was ever a part of that was starting up was my buddy Bobby's company in Salt Lake City, and man, we had a blast. We had a blast opening it up, and it was also like, it was scary and exciting and everything in between, but I'm like, oh, Provo. I'm like, yep, I've been there quite a few times. I was like, I primarily remember the Sam's Club in Provo. We didn't get to work that Sam's Club very often, but we snuck down there sometimes. And literally, the story that I told you about on the last podcast about the old people who ruined my, crushed my soul, that was in Provo.
Dude, Provo people are ruthless.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a hood.
Yeah,
it's a hood area.
Like that, dude. I was like, that was Provo, man. It was like crazy, man. As I remember the Sam's Club, I remember that the gas station that we did that campaign at. And yep, I remember literally walking over there and sitting in my car and like literally wanting to burn the building down. Just being like ready to just burn the world down.
Some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, exactly. That was me right then. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No, that was in Provo. That's crazy. Where'd you move to in Texas?
Like Jackson. So South Houston. It's
nice.
Like near Galveston, an hour away from Galveston. Yep. But
no, I'm very familiar with that. Did you frequent 59?
Oh,
yeah. So if you ever, or if you're in the Houston area and you usually like get on 59 anywhere near kind of the south side of town, usually you will see the sign from my hometown, which is Victoria, Texas. So
I've been to Victoria a few times.
Yeah. Oh man.
Really rural.
Yeah, poor thing. What were you doing there, man?
I had some friends down there. We actually went to a school dance, and man, that school dance was. Dude, there's nothing there. Literally, Victoria is literally super ratchet. It's literally like complete farmland. Mm-hmm. So you grew up there in Victoria.
Well, yeah, Victoria. So it's weird. Victoria is technically classified as a city. It is a city.
Population-wise?
The population is shockingly high. I want to say it's like when I was living there, I want to say it was about 70,000. Which is shockingly high because you know what I'm talking about. Like you've seen it with your eyes.
No, it's literally nothing.
So, the city of Texas and like main, like think of like the metropolitan area. I'm gonna call it the metropolitan area of Victoria, Texas.
Wow.
It is about a 5x5 mile block, right? That's it. That's the whole city.
Yeah, I've been there. There's like a little plaza, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like there's 59. There's what's it called? Business 59. So there's Business 59, right. And then there's a road called Navarro, which I think is like 77 or something. So it's like 59 and 77 are the two crossroads that basically make up the main outskirt of like the edge of the town. You know what I mean? They're the big drags, if you will. And then and then there's the loop that connects them on the backside. So. And that's Victoria. Like literally that's all of it. So it's 59 business, and then there's like Navarro, and then there's the loop that connects it. That's it. That's the whole city, and oh my gosh, a lot of mayhem happens there. Like you would be shocked how big city the people in Victoria behave in such a small place because it's so populated and it's so dense. Like there's lots of people, lots of houses, like most of the place is houses. There's not like the biggest booming business in Victoria, but that's my hometown, man. So it's shockingly up to par with like big inner cities, like inner city violence and crime of a big city for a very small place. Yeah, that's crazy, man. But obviously, like Jackson is that's a nice area. Like it's nice. So that's kind of like, wait, is that kind of like Katy? Is it like that area, or is it like near?
It's more south to Katy.
Okay.
Do you know Bay City?
Oh yeah.
It's more south of Bay City.
Okay.
So Surfside. Do you know Surfside, like the coast, the Gulf area?
Yeah. Of course.
It's like 15 minutes north of Surfside.
Okay.
So it's literally there.
So you're Gulf Coast as well, man.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like a swamp in a Gulf. So.
It's the most humid place on earth. No, it's not really, but like, man, is it humid.
It is so hot. I remember I hated whenever it was winter or spring because it would rain, but also because it was humid. Like the humidity, for some reason, would make it stink, so bad. Oh, because everything got moldy.
Yeah.
Because they have moss everywhere. Like people stink because they never wash their jackets because they just let it soak.
Yeah.
It stunk so bad. Literally.
Dude, and not to mention the Gulf is it's not the most pleasant beach. You know what I mean? Absolutely. It smells like death, and it's got that awesome black sand for the most part.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Oh man, that's crazy. I had no idea. So. You and me are both communication majors. We're both from South Texas, essentially. So you're technically from Provo, but
I grew up.
You've clearly been touched by South Texas. Right on. And we both work at TNT Solutions. So let's go. That's crazy, man.
And now we're I think it's really cool because we're also now working in the same, I'd like to say office, but for the viewers out there, we actually work in the same room.
At this time we're in the same room, but we don't have an office for Julian yet. Well, honestly, Julian's job didn't exist that long ago.
It started I think it existed 2 days ago.
Yeah, I actually put a name to it yesterday. So
I got my signature. I was like, dope.
Well, let's go. So yeah, man, it's, well, don't worry. I was like, we'll have an office for you in the future. Man, what a small world, man. half of the things we just talked about I didn't know until like now, and then the other half, of course, obviously I knew. But
it's so weird how connected we are.
Yeah.
Like, I was gonna say, like,
so nuts.
when I was in Victoria, so the reason why I ended up going, I didn't finish, but I had a date that actually wanted me to go to Victoria from Lake Jackson to take her on a dance and do prom with her. So I was like, yeah, bet, let's do it.
Was she a V-Town girl?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. And so we went up there, and there's actually this arcade that's like in the middle of nowhere. So I don't know if you know where it is or you know what I'm talking about.
But just continue, because it'll probably dawn on me. In the middle of nowhere.
It's in the middle. It's like right off like a country road, and it's like the only building that's there. It's in the middle of nowhere. But apparently
Arcade,
she had like.
And like I've honestly, I've just never been to an arcade out like on the outskirts of town.
I mean, nobody has, but I showed up and literally, this probably explains why, but there was literally nobody there. It was just me, her, and the cashier.
Yeah.
And so we went in there, we had the whole place to ourselves, and I remember beating the top, I had the next 5 top records for the Space Invaders game.
Yeah.
And so I got the bonus ticket thing 5 times in a row. So I came out of that place with like 10,000 tickets, and I got her so much stuff.
Let's go.
It's such a fun day because like we laughed. She's like, I'm gonna give us to my siblings. Like, knock yourself out.
Oh, that's funny. You didn't have a lot of actual money, but you're like, man, just drop some tickets on this girl.
Just drop these tickets.
Yo, what's up?
Like, all right.
Boom. Hey babe, why don't you go pick up those tickets right there? Like,
yeah, for real.
Oh my god.
Honestly, an arcade day for our team nights, because we do team nights for like every single like Thursday or every other Thursday or very.
No, it's every Thursday but one particular Thursday. So it's cut week.
During cut week.
So during cut week we don't do one, but yeah, all the other weeks we do. So 5 out of 6 weeks we do a team night. Yeah.
That's really interesting. I want to kind of get into that cut week.
Yeah.
That was an interesting cut week the other week.
Yeah, ours will. I feel like sometimes you commit to it and sometimes you don't.
Right.
Because you can make cut week kind of like a general theme of like, hey, we're like gonna focus on negative behaviors or negative habits or negative things that we can do to keep us from like getting to the goals that we set for ourselves. So like, what's holding us back? What is going unexamined and attended to that is actually hurting you, right? And it's not, obviously, if it was like dire or desperately hurting you, you'd probably be noticing it quite frequently, you know what I mean? So it's like, let's draw attention in our own mind to the things that we need to probably either eliminate completely or reduce the amount of time we're spending doing it if we're ever going to like make meaningful progress in the direction we want to go. So yeah, but that's like the theory or the theme, right? So, but then there's how you conduct cut week, and sometimes you really like commit all the way, which is like I'm gonna hold y'all so accountable to the things that need to be cut out that like it is going to be like merciless. You know what I mean? Like you are going to feel the pressure to like stop doing the things that you need to do, and it's not like I'm gonna force you, but I'm definitely gonna be like, okay, here's this. You know, as one of my former directors used to say at a company I worked at, he said, you know, it's about like taking the kid gloves off. So it's like, you know, like, yeah, we've just been like light hits, you know, like jabs, it's like, okay, I'm gonna hit you with some haymakers. Like, you're going to feel what I'm talking about and like the importance of it. So yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. So what stood out to you about like the last one or whatever?
I feel like the last one was really like cutting my attitude, I guess. Not like I had a bad attitude, but I would get negged out super fast. And like last week or the week before we had talked about negged out, meaning negativity out. You know, we're getting so
super negative. Well, it's funny because saying there's actually the term that we use, saying negged out, has actually been adopted for something else now.
Really?
So it's kind of like a relationship term, and negging someone out would be it's something you do to someone, and it's let's look it up. I don't know exactly what it means, but this is not the way that we use it, because I've been using this term for years, and literally I knew it to just be like, neg is short for negative, and the reason that you even say negged out is almost like you're so averse to negativity that you like don't even want to complete the work.
You're tapped out.
Like, no, the reason, like, it comes from a culture in which positivity is like the thing that you're emphasizing the most. So it's like, yo, we need to be positive. If you haven't got something good to say, don't say it at all. If it's going to be like something that brings us down or like makes us like doubt ourselves, or is even gonna like remotely entertain the idea of like bringing negativity into the situation, then don't do it. And then, you know, to say negged out is more like it's like, I'm not even gonna complete that word, like, you know what I mean, like I'm not even gonna like bring the word, I'm not even gonna bring the full word into being, like I'm going to cut the word off and like keep it short. So dating, relationships, negged out. All right, let's see what this means. Because I just read an article on it, and I was like, okay, so like, what is negged? Like, I just didn't know what that meant. All right, let's see here. What is this?
Also, highly recommend for those watching.
Yeah.
Kai was just telling me about this this new Surface that he has, this new Windows Surface. It is absolutely. I don't have the money to buy it right now, but if I did, I'd buy it right now.
So believe it or not, it's not a Windows computer.
Not?
It's an Asus computer.
Asus, okay.
So for some reason, so Asus has like a series of computers that they make, and they have a lot of. Like, they really try to push the limits of like what you can make a gaming computer out of. Right. So they have like some mini computers that are like extremely yeah, here it is. All right, so here we go. Okay, here it is. So dating coach explains how to identify negging. So it's this is from The Independent. This is the the article it comes from. All right, here it is. I should have let my AI answer it for me because they're going to make it really easy. All right, it says negging in dating is emotional manipulation. So when somebody gives backhanded compliments and insults the other person and tries to disguise them as constructive criticism. Like, you know, oh man, you are so good at like really just making terrible mistakes, but like trying to play it off like it's totally no big deal. Like, that's so awesome how you can do that. So that's what negging is. So like that is not what we're talking about.
Holy crap.
That's just like super saucy. Like, it's like
that
so
is so
toxic.
messed up.
It's so toxic.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. Like, it's so toxic. So that is not what we mean when we say negged out. When we say negged out, we just mean like I am totally losing my ability to not be positive. Like, you're like, I'm just getting negative. You know what I mean? Negative to the max. So it's like basically it's where and by saying negged out, I would say like we also, another way we would refer to that is like losing your attitude. And when we say losing your attitude, we don't necessarily mean like we don't mean like
having like an anxiety attack.
Yeah, it doesn't mean like that. We mean like you basically have just abandoned whatever your goal is, right? You're so negged out, you're so negative that like you have given up all hope of accomplishing any goals, and you're just like gonna wallow and like just be in the negativity, and you're just gonna like soak it up and be like garbage. You know what I mean?
You're just gonna let the world.
Yeah, you're just gonna let yourself just like drown in the negativity of the moment. So that's kind of what we're talking about when we say that type of stuff. So good clarification, but.
Yeah.
So you said you were getting like super negged out at events, right?
Yeah. Because this past week or the week before, I think that week I was at a bunch of cash savers.
Yeah.
Or at a bunch of events that were really hard to like hit bail, which means like get to the goal that we really want to get to you know, maximize profit for the charity. And man, it was tough. It was really tough. I was getting a lot of backhanded comments. I was not.
They were negging you.
They were negging me.
They were
negging me.
Oh my god.
Exactly. And they're like, you know what? You're such a trooper for being out here doing something completely useless, but just like keeping a good smile. But it's so bad.
Oh
just
god.
keep it. No, not actually. That
would be evil. I was like, dude, if a customer said that, man.
I'm sure it happens. It definitely happens in our industry. It's so sad though. But I kind of cut that habit of letting it be a progress bar to getting negged out, because a lot of people think that getting negged out happens at a certain point.
Yeah.
they feel like you can only take so much until you carry this much load. And
Yeah, yeah.
then you have to
and you break the threshold and you're like,
Right.
yeah.
But then the last time I was kind of getting negged out, I kind of realized that you can make a healthier process, like having an exhaust instead of having progress. So the moment you get something negative, do something that exhausts that negativity out. Get negged out as soon as you get negged.
Yeah. Okay, so like embrace it
right.
really quick, acknowledge it, and then get through it.
Right, but don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, don't
right?
act on it necessarily.
Don't act on it.
Don't
right?
act on it. No, I agree with that 100%. Like I like so. This is something. It's kind of like a level of maturity that you get to, and I was actually talking to one of our trainers, and it was in regards to some people who've been working for the company for a long time, but like when they get negged out or they start to lose their attitude, they start to get really pessimistic and start to worry about like their ability to succeed. That there's a certain kind of threshold, I think, of doing this for a certain amount of time where like I feel like early on you're really working hard to like avoid getting super negged out. Like you're trying to stop it from happening, right? You're trying to like, no, like I can't go there. I'm not gonna let it get to me. Like I'm gonna resist. I'm gonna like defend myself. And ultimately it's like, no, it's gonna get to you eventually. Now, over time, I feel like you are going to become more resilient. You're going to become tougher. You're going to become more like you're going to be able to carry more before your threshold, before you're going to legs are going to break and you're going to like crumble under the pressure. But like that is not what you can do on like in a momentary basis. You can't be like just trying to resist it and stop it and like act like it's not going to happen. It's like, no, it's definitely going to happen. How are you going to deal with it? How quickly and proactively are you going to accept it and then get yourself back in the right mindset, right? So in our company we have like what there are successful work habits. They're just like things that we say should be like principles that underlie a very successful person in the industry that we work in. And one of them is like being able to manage and regain your attitude, right? So it's like you will lose your attitude. I, as someone with a ton of experience in promotional events, will lose their attitude. I, just being the owner of a company and having like adversity and people let me down and like unreliability and dependability, like I am going to lose my attitude. I'm going to get negged out too. But it's like how much like once you have let it happen, once you've like acknowledged that it's happening, now it's a choice, right? Because it's like, okay, you have perhaps outside of your control been put in a state that is highly negative and it is not conducive to success or being productive in any way. So now you have a choice. You've acknowledged it, but you've also like in the premise of acknowledging that, you've also thought like you've acknowledged that like the thing that happened has happened, but it's not happening anymore, right? So now the way that you feel is a choice. So you can either choose to continue to feel the way that you feel and give yourself all the reasons and excuses in the world to basically be completely useless, or you can choose to be useful and say, all right, I'm upset, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm pessimistic, but like let's not be that way anymore, right? Because the thing that made me that way, it is past, it is gone. So now that it's gone, you're choosing to be that way, right? So when you start to realize that and you're like, wait a second, I don't like feeling like this, but if I'm choosing to feel like this, that means I can choose to feel otherwise. I can choose to not feel like this. And if that's the case, then you should be working to regain your attitude, or what we'd say take a smart break. But whatever the case is, whether I take a break that like is a ritual that like resets my brain to, realize that the circumstances that I found myself in earlier are no longer the circumstances and that I'm allowed to let it go. Because I think getting negged out is kind of like it's a defense mechanism. It's like saying you are in a situation that is hostile to your success and you need to do something about it, right? And that's why you get negged out. And I think getting negged out is also like, it's like the eventuality of that alert or that like defense mechanism while also feeling that you can't actually do something about it, right? So it's like you're in a hostile situation, your success is in jeopardy, you must do something about it, but I can't do something about it, so therefore like I'm screwed, you know what I mean? So like boom, I'm negged out, things are going downhill. But ultimately the case is that like you're not like you're probably not in the situation that's actually keeping you from being successful. So like, as long as you bring it with you, as long as you bring the earlier moment with you into the next moment, like, then yeah, you're still negged out. But like, if you choose to not bring it with you, you're like, okay, I was negged out because there was a person who said this and now they're gone. But it's like, the more you continue to be negged out, the more you're just choosing to acknowledge and make real the thing that the person said to you. And it's like, yo, let it go. Like, they're gone, they don't matter, you're never gonna see them again. And ultimately, now you're choosing to just completely repeat and perpetuate the thing the guy said to you that is making you negged out still. So it's like, stop doing that. Stop perpetuating it. Stop repeating it in your head, and you'll be done with it. You know what I mean? So
it's so sad because I feel like whenever people get negged out, they make that their perception. They're like, this is the truth. I observed A. A is the negative situation. I observed A. Therefore, every situation that will come out of that door is going to be A. You know?
So A is like, this is A, I'm A, everything's A.
Everything's exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So like, there's a tunnel vision involved. Yeah, for sure. It's like, I always kind of say, like, your scope has been tightened so tight, like you're trapped in like the last like 30 minutes or something, or, you know, whenever it happens. So let's say 30 minutes ago somebody said something to me, it really like frustrated me, it made me hot, it made me feel demeaned, embarrassed, like made me feel helpless, and then it's 30 minutes later now, but unfortunately I can't widen my scope. I can't refocus on everything in the world plus that 30 minutes ago. It's just that 30 minutes ago. Just this little time period that I'm trapped in is the only thing that there is. And there's never been anything before that, and there will never be anything after that. And you're just like, what? Like, you know what I mean? When you say it out loud, it sounds absurd, you know? Yeah.
You're basically tripping when you're negged out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, almost.
Like, you're kind of like, you're like, what would you say tripping and like, and I don't know if you mean like tripping like straight, like having a psychedelic.
Right,
like,
yeah, like.
You know what I mean? You're just like, you're essentially like taking a tiny sliver of what it is to be a person in the universe and yourself and in this moment, and you're just like, that's all there is. There is nothing else. Like, and you're totally stuck on it. And like, unfortunately, like, you know, sometimes you wish someone could just like come up and like point your head in the other direction, like slap you in the face and be like, there's other stuff going on here. You know what I mean?
Like, the Batman meme where he like slaps Robin every single time he's trying to complete a sentence that we should have.
Oh yes, dude, Batman is amazing. Shout out Pete Holmes. You're like, shout out Pete Holmes. Yeah, you're like, oh my god, he does the voice so good too. He does the Christian Bale voice really good too.
He really does.
Shout out to Pete Holmes, but yeah, it's really just being trapped. In fact, like, okay, here's Ty getting really deep and philosophical because it's the thing that I do, but like, ultimately, in my opinion, like, all negativity comes from a sense of imprisonment. Like, there is no negativity that isn't that. Like, to hate your life, to hate the world, to feel that something needs to change, like, or that seems to believe that the world must be otherwise, like it should be otherwise, but it is what it is, and it's bad. It's really just feeling trapped. So it's like a psychological wall that you've built around yourself that you don't perceive any escape from, right? So at some level, now that's some really true existential level, like, we are trapped. Like, there is no escaping what we are in right now. You know what I mean? Like, everybody who's watching this video or hearing it, presumably we're assuming we're trapped in the same thing. We're all stuck here. The universe, the place that we're at, we're a part of it. We're like a part of the fabric of it. Like, we are never getting out of here. Like, there will never be an escape for us. You know what I mean? Like, and depending on like what your religious beliefs are, maybe you think of there is an escape from it, but even if I believe that, like, you know, like, there is a metaphysical or a heaven like type of dimension or something like that, I don't believe that it could be separate from all of existence. I feel like it would just still be this. Maybe like it'd be like a part of it that we can't see, or like a level that is invisible to us in our current state. But whatever it is, like, I think that all of existence would just have to be all of existence. Like, there is no escaping it. Heaven, earth, in between, God, all that stuff. It's
all
like
one
right
thing.
There. It's just all one.
Yeah.
So like, I wouldn't perceive that there's any escaping it. So whatever this is, we're not escaping. This is it. That's all we'll ever have. That's all there will ever be, and we're trapped here. So like that can either freak you the hell out, or it can like it can be the most like wholesome, fulfilling, and completing thought that you can have, right? So it's like to hate or to just like hate anything about this life, to not enjoy it. It's like really it comes from a sense of trapped. Like there's a prison that you've either accidentally been put in, you've been born into, you fell into it, you put yourself there, whatever the case is, you feel trapped. And it's that feeling trapped that causes like most of the negative behavior, the most negative outcomes in the world. So like being nagged out and being having lost your attitude is just like a really acute, sharp, quick way to feel completely trapped and helpless and with no agency and basically powerless. Yeah.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it when I was actually yesterday, because yesterday was the first day where I actually put my full knowledge to the test about like being the account manager or like working through with all the website stuff and all the social media and everything. And I felt like my knowledge was so limited yesterday. Because like
it happens.
Because I'm young, and I'm not really super experienced in business and entrepreneurship and all these great things. And hearing all the different terms you guys were using and the new concepts we were talking about, I just felt so overwhelmed. I didn't get nagged out at all. But I felt so small in comparison to the tasks that I had been assigned.
I've felt that many times, right? So
how do you overcome that?
So it's actually, to me, it should be at some, and I'm sure you do feel this a little bit, like at some level it's kind of exciting because you're like, oh my gosh, you're like, hold up, this is a thing. Because like in a way you have to like, I just think practically or logically, you have to say like, I aspire to do X, I aspire to do this thing, right? But at some level I am not doing X, right? So where's the line drawn between aspiring and working towards and about to be doing and then doing it? You know what I mean? So like the line is not clear, it's very fuzzy, right? And at some level, if you're committing a lot of thought and a lot of practice, for instance, towards digital marketing or this or that or whatever the skills that you're really trying to develop, it's like, when do you go from the transition of trying to do it to doing it, right? And that's what you start to see when you're in that moment, is that you're like, okay, there's no reason to feel too small, because ultimately what you're finding out is the difference between what you've been doing and what is doing it, right? So I want to do digital marketing. I want to be a digital marketer. I want to be the digital, account executive of this charity. I want to be doing these things, right? Now, when do you start doing it? You know what I mean? Like I could tell you, all right, we're going to get ready to do it, and I'm going to prep you to do it. And here's going to be some things you're going to need to do it. And then eventually, like at some level, you've kind of always been doing it, like you're doing it, but what is it completely? When can we say it has been done? That's really what you're finding out. So you were just learning what's the difference between doing it and having it done, right? So you were learning what it looks like to have it done versus what you're doing, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's
kind of like a practice, you're just getting it, like kind of like it's just a practice in a phase in which you're just kind of just doing it.
In a way, yes. Like technically practicing is doing it, right? So for instance, is it possible to pick up a basketball, having never played it, just perfectly throw it with perfect form and having never seen anyone do it? Absolutely. And pick up a basketball and with perfect form, just like imagine what you imagine tossing a perfect three, like from the line, hitting it, nailing it, first try. I think someone would say, like clearly they just did a perfect three-pointer, right? They just shot a perfect three-pointer. There was no question that was it, that you just did it, right? But what's the difference between doing that and like picking it up, not knowing what to do with it, throwing it at the basket a million times, and then like actually eventually having someone teach you and slowly practicing how to do the three, and then you shoot it and you make the perfect three? Mm-hmm. It's like both of those are equally doing it. Like you were playing basketball in all of those situations. Now, one you would say like, well, I was practicing doing three-pointers before I was like making them, and it's like, so practicing doing three-pointers is doing it. Like it is doing it.
Even failing.
Yeah. So failing is doing it. You know what I mean? Like but because the reason I made that example is because it would be impossible to just pick the ball up and shoot it perfectly into make the three with no effort, having not even seen or modeled it after someone. Like, you can't do that. It's never going to happen. So the act of playing basketball, the act of shooting three-pointers involves the part where you're not making it and you're messing up and you're throwing it all wrong and everything's going wrong. Like, it's still doing it. So there's just no difference between that and shooting a three.
Right.
Like, you've technically been shooting a three for a very long time. You just like have not been doing it right or making it, but you've still been shooting threes. You know what I mean? So like that's it. So there's no reason to feel small. Ultimately, what you're feeling is like you should be feeling, like, in a way, excited that you are now understanding the criteria for what is going to have it be done, right?
Yeah.
So the real distinction is doing and have it done, right? It is complete and it's being done. So you are doing it right now, but it's not done, right? So what you were learning was, you're like, hey, I'm doing it. I'm doing the social marketing, social media marketing. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And it's like, yes, but it's not done. And it's like, so when it's done, it will have met these criteria, and now that will have been done. So when you were like, hey, I'm doing it, like, it's looking pretty good, and I'm like, you are doing it. Here's what is done. And you're just like, okay, we're not doing that. Yeah, you're like, we're not there yet. And I'm like, yes, I know. Like, but now you know what done looks like.
What the criteria is.
Yes, now you know the criteria, and now you know how to make sure that what you're doing is successful.
Interesting.
Right? So everybody on earth who picks up a basketball and stands at the line is shooting 3 points. But like, whether you shot the 3 point successfully is whether or not it goes in the basket, right? So that's what you're learning. You're like, okay, I shoot 3 points all the time. You're like, sweet, you do shoot them. You never make the basket. So it's like, when you make the basket, when you see someone put it in the basket, and then you realize that that's what I have to do to make it, and then you finally make it, that's doing, like it's done now. So yeah.
Speaking of question, do you think that adding all the criterias at once leads one to be unsuccessful? Or do you feel like doing all the criteria at once is beneficial? Do you think it's better to do it little by little?
I would say it depends, and it depends. I mean, I think it just depends on how well you're suspending or using, like, how well you're projecting what the end is supposed to look like versus like whether you're trying to do it all at once, right? So I would say, I think in some situations it would be beneficial to maybe not have the whole criteria, to basically be taught individual aspects of the criteria piece by piece, and then eventually you've done this, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. Now we put them all together and it's actually completely done. Sure, I think that can be beneficial in probably a lot of situations. Now, is it going to hurt to tell someone what all has to be done to make it complete? It depends on the person, and it depends on, like, whether maybe you're giving them information overload. So the limitations would be, sometimes, it's so complicated that it would be best not to tell someone in one sitting, because it will result in information overload, and then they will shut down a little bit and not think that they can do it. But if I know that I'm not actually doing it yet, and I know that I'm just receiving a full version of the criteria, and I'm not, like, meant to have done it yet, then I don't see there'd probably be very little problem in telling someone the whole criteria in the beginning, and then slowing down and piece by piece giving them what they need to, like, make it happen. So yeah,
I think that's I kind of see how the criteria plays into our entry-level position of just program specialist. Because you can definitely outline all the criteria. Like, for example, we have the orientation, and just say, hey, these are the specific points of talking to somebody at an event. But when you get into the field, your brain's basically scatterbrained. Your brain's splattered on the pavement right next to you. You're not even thinking, right? And I think it's so cool because the experience you have with your trainer, you're repeatedly being told, this is the criteria. This is the criteria. Good, you got that criteria. You completely forgot about this stuff. And it's just, as you said before, you're doing it, but it's not done. And I think for some people, like, it will take a lot longer to get done for other people. And I think that's just a difference between maybe high maintenance and low maintenance employees, because I feel like a low maintenance employee, the criteria only needs to be told once, and they understand, it flows to their brain, and they practice it religiously almost. And I feel like a higher maintenance messes up on a criteria, is repeatedly told how to follow the criteria. And I personally, I'm very, very bad at hitting the criteria perfectly.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to be told like once or twice like how to get something done. For example, yesterday when we were talking about the form and like embedding it.
Yeah.
Right?
I know what part you're talking about.
The first time we were talking about embedding this form into our new website, I was like, oh, we're just gonna do this.
Yeah.
And then Ty was like, no, we need to do this, and I was like, okay, so this, and he's like, no, Julian, this, and I was like, this, and he's like, no, this, and I was like, this, and he's like, yeah, now this. You know?
So, and honestly, I think it's one, partially we're running into the issue of like digital jargon, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and trying to like, it's not a real thing we're talking about. It's like a simulated thing on a computer, you know what I mean? And I'm trying like, and honestly, this is an important part, is like, I am not a computer specialist. Like, in fact, I could probably build a computer way better than I can actually talk about the software on a computer. So, like, I don't actually know. There's probably a term that a software professional would understand that, like, I'm not saying, right? You know what I mean? But ultimately, I'm like, you know, I think I ended up like kind of just explaining it like in different terms as much as I could until like one was the one that like worked. Yeah. So I was just like, you know, this is what I mean. This is what it looks like. This is how it's supposed to be, et cetera, et cetera. And eventually we obviously got it. But no, I don't think you're necessarily wrong with like the entire criteria of things. I think that everyone is. I think that there's no one on earth who's gonna like hear a very complex criterion for completing something and like immediately visualize how they'll do it. Now that's like the important part, is like and sometimes if it's complicated, there are going to be things that you said that I just don't understand. Like, I don't know what you're meaning, right? So it's like that's probably the hardest part about conveying what someone needs to do to be successful or to complete something, is that you don't know how they're prioritizing it or organizing it in their mind. And I think that like often a low maintenance person is someone who's really organized in their brain. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you tell them something and they're like, oh, like I don't know exactly what that means, so I'm gonna put it in the not sure what he means section, and then it's like now that I know exactly what that means, I'll put that over here and I'm certain I know what it means. Then you're going to tell me this and you're like, okay, I definitely do not at all know what that means. You know what I mean? Like, so you're like categorizing it and organizing it well enough to be like, okay, now when you're done talking, I'm like, okay, now about the one thing that I feel like I know but I'm not sure, is it like this that you mean? Okay, cool, so we're on the same page there. We can put that into I understand category. Now this one over here, I can tell you, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Go ahead and start from the beginning and tell me what the hell you mean. And then tell me all about that, right? And then it could go from that category to the I'm pretty sure I know what he means, but I need to double check. And then there is I absolutely know what he means, right? So it's like, how well are you organizing that information in your head? And then eventually, once everything is, I know exactly what the hell he's talking about, like, then you're ready. You know what I mean? Like, then you're kicking ass. So,
right, so maybe a low maintenance person slash a highly understanding person breaks down information first, organizes it before understanding it. And I feel like that kind of distinguishes two types of people. I feel like one type of people really tries to break down information and organize it, and I feel like another group of people don't try to break it down, they try to understand it as a whole. Yeah, and that's very interesting how there's two sorts.
No, 100%. And I think, well, and maybe we're even getting into like learning theory or something, but maybe, like, you know, I think some people hear information and they want to organize it and they want certainty. So it's like, how much desire for certainty do you have? So like when someone tells me what I'm supposed to do, if I have not a high desire for certainty, then I'd be like, it doesn't matter what they tell me, I'm gonna be like, got it, like I'm gonna go do this. Absolutely. And then I'm just gonna like mess it up along the way, and if it doesn't make sense to me, I'm just gonna mess it up, and then eventually, by the time I've trial and errored or asked a few people for help that weren't that person, then I got it done, right? So some people are just like, don't need to really understand it that much, don't need to organize it that well in my head, just let's go, I remember what you said, and let's kick butt. And then, so that's like the need for certainty, as some people would need it, some people wouldn't. And then other people are just like kinesthetic learners, or they learn differently. So they're like, okay, you're telling me things. I really am not sure what you're talking about, but like I think if you want me to do this thing and that is what you're talking about, I have a feeling I'm going to figure it out by doing it, not by actually hearing what you're saying. So I'll remember important parts of what you're saying, aka like if you tell me a list of 6 things that I'm going to need to do to be successful, if I'm this type of person, I'm not going to actually like necessarily remember the 6 things you told me. I'm going to remember that there are 6 things. You know what I mean?
I don't remember the last one, but I remember these 4.
I just remember there's 6 of them. So as I'm doing it, I'm like, okay, well, there's 1, and then like, okay, there's 2, and there's 3, and there's 4, and like 5, and then like, what is this 6th thing?
Yeah.
So hey man, when you said to do all this stuff, like, come tell me what I'm missing. And they're like, oh, you're missing this. You're like, oh, there's the 6th thing. Okay, perfect, cool. So like, you know, just people organize things differently in their brain, and people need certain amounts of certainty to act, and some people need less certainty to act, and some people almost cannot understand what the hell you're talking about unless they see it with their own eyes, they feel it with their own hands, unless they get in there and they do it, you know what I mean? So
do you feel like the different type of learners, because like we work at the same company, and I almost guarantee 100% every single person in our office has a different type of learning process. Do you think that in some way that benefits the company?
Yes. Well, of course, like for training it does. Yeah. So like, let's say we can teach 5 different people to be proficient trainers in the company, and they're all different like learning styles. Then like they're going to be able to help someone in the company who may be a valuable asset if they can get through training, because they know what they're thinking and how they learn, so they can kind of like explain that stuff to them. And then even if they're not my trainer, I can talk to the trainers. Like maybe I'm training the guy and I'm like, dude, I don't know how to connect with this guy. Like this guy's not doing what I want him to do. And then boom, I just go talk to another trainer and I'm like, hey, has anyone ever dealt with a guy like this? What do you do? And they're like, oh no, I've dealt with it. That's me, man. Like that's how I was. So of course I've definitely dealt with someone like that. Here's what I would think would be good if you taught me how to do it. And I'd be like, hell yeah, let's go. So yeah, the more minds, the more diversity we have of like approaches to doing things, like generally it's gonna be good. So no, I think 100% good stuff, yeah.
Dope. You know what I think we should do?
What's up?
I think we should show the audience the logo that we made.
Okay, let's do it, man.
I don't know if it's a little confidential or if we're like still into the words.
No. Did you email it to me?
I emailed it.
Okay, perfect.
I was thinking about it. I was like,
yeah.
man.
So let's do this. Here, I'm going to. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Since we're not necessarily having to do everything in real time, I'm going to pause this recording, and then I'm going to pull up another one here, and we're going to check this out, bro. Let's do it. Alright, so let's go to home, and then we'll go to new me, and then we will start this baby up. Let's turn the camera on. Is it? There you go. And then we are going to record. And then let's share the screen. Alright, let's pull it up. So, let's see, we'll just share all of the screen. Boom. And let's open up Gmail, shall we? Go. Boom.
I think it turned out a lot better than I thought, actually.
No, dude, it looks great. No, I definitely, like I told you, I think I told you earlier, yeah, I love green. Green is like absolutely my favorite color, 100%. That's my jam. So, like, well, obviously, we probably have to make like a couple other, like I literally just want to get some airflow in here.
Oh, you're good.
It's so
I
hot.
feel that air in my
I was like,
yes.
It gets really stuffy in this office,
Freshness.
man.
Dude, honestly, feels good.
That will just help air, and we'll just get some airflow in there.
Feel refreshed.
So yeah, man, that logo is sick. So it kind of makes me want to talk about dirty work. So you know, when I thought the name of the podcast should be Dirty Work. You know, I knew that the topic of the topic of our podcast, or like the theme, was always going to be work, because it's like, honestly, for me personally, I've just dedicated so much of like my recent life into becoming good at work, right? So, you know, this business of like, you know, marketing, primarily promotional events is what I've worked in the marketing world, but marketing itself has just been so like valuable for me. It's been so good. It has, because it's the type of job that really values creativity. It values your ability to perform. It values like strategic, you know, use of words, and just pre-planning and thinking and stuff like that. And that is really what like I've lent to. That's what has enabled me to really thrive at what we do, because it's what I like doing. In college, I studied rhetoric, which is, really just studying audiences and studying speakers and how you can craft speeches or any, like craft the words that you're using to convey your messages to be as persuasive as humanly possible in a particular situation, right? So you've got the audience, you've got the situation that they're in, you've got the speaker, and then you've got like the ability to craft a message that is perfect coming from the speaker to the audience in the situation that we're in, right? So that's like all I really focused on in my master's program. So given that that's like the thing that I do, marketing has been really good for me. But I can definitely say that like I had a lot of like reservations, and I didn't think I was ever necessarily going to be that good or that successful professionally because like of little things. It's really like it's the little things in like business that really make or break a business. I think it's like kind of like it's not the obvious stuff, because like everybody with everybody's uncle, aunt, and everybody and their dog has like an idea for a business. They understand kind of like businesses sell stuff, and like here's the thing that we could sell, and like people would buy it and we'd make money, and like this and the other, and you're like, cool story. You're like, yes, you understand work, you understand like employment, you understand jobs, but you don't understand like how to take what is obvious and combine it with what's not so obvious and like make something special out of it.
What do you mean not so obvious? What's not so obvious?
So
aspect?
Doing something obvious would be like like moving,
okay,
taking action, like literally doing something. Like you're gonna sell something. You're like, well, okay, I buy it and then I sell it to someone else, or I make it and then I sell it to someone else. You're like, that's the obvious part. You know what I mean? Like, well, how do you find stuff to sell? Or like, how do you sell stuff to people? You get stuff. You're like, well, how are you gonna get stuff? You're like, well, you can make stuff. Like, well, you could also just buy stuff and then sell it at a higher price. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's stuff, we're gonna sell it. How do we get it? Well, we make it or we buy it. So buy stuff and sell stuff, or make stuff and sell stuff, or buy stuff and make stuff and sell stuff. That's the obvious part. But then it's like, it's the little things. It's like, but how are you gonna make it? Are you gonna make it like this or like this? Are you gonna like, are you gonna make it with this principle or with this principle? Are you gonna make it cheap? Or are you gonna make it expensive? Are you gonna make it, it's the little things that make the big difference in business. And it's always been the little things that probably would have sunk me in my jobs, my careers, and everything that I've ever done. It's always like the little stuff, So that's the stuff that's always I've been worried about. For instance, like to me, the little stuff is like being the difference between being 10 minutes early to work or 1 minute before work starts. Like that's the little thing, right? It's not a huge difference to be like, you're still, quote, on time. But, fortunately, in one of my bosses taught me, he said, if you're not early, you're late. If you're, and I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, if you, or this is actually what he really said. He said, if you're early, then you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, you're fired. And I was like, whoa. Like this was in my orientation at a company. He said, yep. So yeah, if you're early, then you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, then you're fired. And I remember I was like, I immediately heard that and I was like, I am screwed. There's no way I'm going to make it here. I was like, they're trying to fire me on the spot. And I remember later that he was the assistant director who told me that. And later when I talked with him, I was like, dude, you sounded like crazy. I was like, I'm definitely not going to make it here. Like, these guys are going to fire me because I'm definitely going to end up being late one day. And he was like, you took me seriously?
Oh, shoot.
He was like, you took me seriously, man? And I was like, yeah. He was like, I was just joking. And I was like, yeah, I didn't take it as a joke, man. I thought you were like very serious, man. So, that principle right there is like, it's the little things, you know what I mean?
Right.
The little things are what's going to make or break your business or make or break the success of what you do. And to me, that's always been the little things that get me, you know what I mean? It's always been the little things that I've been getting called out for. It's always the little things. I can do a really good job in this way, but then I'm late like by a minute every single day or too frequently. I can pull off this amazing stunt or this feat or this like thing that the company doesn't think is possible, but I actually can't do the remedial dumb stuff that I should be able to do with my eyes closed. So it's always been like little things that ended up getting me or leading to my failure. So I knew that was something that was going to be hard for me, but when I thought of doing this podcast, I thought, work is all I've been enveloped in. Marketing made me love work. Marketing made me think about work in a way that caused me to not let the little things slide. And because I don't let the little things slide, you really develop some pretty comprehensive ideas and like philosophies on business based off the little things that make the biggest difference in your experience or in your success, right? So why am I here? Why do I own a company? Why is my company successful? Why are you here working in my company? Why do these things happen? It's like, it's really been a lot of little things. It's not been always just the big thing that made the difference. So,
I mean, even in like grand scheme of things, little might actually be kind of big, not super, like coming in on a Saturday to do a podcast.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a small, very, very small thing, but like because of the podcast, like that's a huge tool resource for our employees. And as you were saying it, it's the little things that make you or break you. And when we were thinking earlier about being negged out, like one person out of, let's say, average 70 people could break your day if you let it. Like, that's totally ridiculous. Like, if you, like 20 people in, you talk to one person, they break your day, you're going to miss the opportunity of talking to another 50 people just because that one guy.
Yep.
That's like...
It's rough. Yeah. Well, and, like, for instance, I think this is why, if you, as a business owner, I can tell you that one thing that probably breaks the most business owners that like I could possibly imagine, out of anything that really breaks them, it is going to be an underestimation of the impact of mistakes or certain expenses that the company has, like an underestimation of how extreme and how big and how important the little pieces are. So for instance, you're like, okay, there's this process that we're doing, and the process is like remotely inefficient. Like there's some aspect of it that's not super efficient, and you're like, but honestly, like we have to do it anyway because it's this thing has to be done, and this thing is important, and this is the only way that I can think to do it, and we're not going to be able to do it in time to do it. So like, let's just do it this way, and we'll just suck it up, and it'll cost us a tiny little bit, and then but it's not going to be like the biggest deal.
That's why yesterday when we were talking about the form, I was like, oh, we can just do PayPal now, and then you're like, or we could just do this now because like it would cost us. I never thought of that. Keep going though. That's crazy.
It's a little stuff.
Right.
And you forget about the little stuff. So you let it slide now, and then you forget about it completely, and then you do it for 2-3 months, and then you look back and you're like, wait, we're coming up short. We're actually out of money. We actually don't have enough money. We've actually been losing money. How? Where's it been going? We calculated it should be profitable. It's a little thing. It's the thing that you forgot about. You just let it slide. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was just a minor thing at the time. But like, a minor thing repeated 1,000 times is like the end of a business. You know what I mean? Like that's it. A minor thing, and that left to its own devices will sink the ship. So
completely expanded my mind. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
so
interesting concept.
It's just the little stuff because it adds up. It always does. So this business and marketing taught me a lot about the little stuff. And when I think about doing dirty work, I think about like, or why dirty work, right? So we don't particularly do dirty work, right? But we do in a way, right? Now some people, I always laugh because I'm a professional marketer and I'm pretty good at like conveying information the way that I want to convey it. And sometimes people working at my company ask me this, or sometimes people just like outside of my company ask me this, but they'll be like, you know, how do you feel about your work, or like what is it that you do, and like how do you feel about it? Like, do you like doing what you do? Are you proud of what you do? This and the other. And I'm kind of like, it's funny because I could describe it in two different ways. And one way I think I could definitely turn you off and make you feel like this is the worst job ever. And then there are some ways I can describe my work and I could make it seem like the best job ever, right? So it's all a matter of perspective. It's all a matter of like what I choose to like portray it as. But you know, when I tell people, you know, they go like, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, generally I go in order like this. They go, what do you do for a living? I go, oh, I actually own a small business and I run it. And they're like, oh, that's awesome. Like, what do you do? What do y'all do? I go, we do marketing. And they're like, okay, so like, you know, what exactly does that entail? And I'm like, so it's, we do promotional events, and we do those solely for charities, and we raise a lot of money for, you know, nonprofit clients. And they're like, oh wow, that is so cool. What do the charities do? And I'm like, actually they're for kids. So one of the charities we work for is looking to prevent bullying and suicide in elementary schools, or starts in elementary school and just hopes to prevent it in total. And then another one of them is mainly about drug abuse and violence and being a respectable, healthy, you know, individual in a society, and you know, respecting yourself and respecting other people as well. So that's what we're about. And they're just like, oh wow, that is amazing. That is freaking awesome what you're doing. You know, like you should be proud of that. Like that must be really rewarding, and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, it is. Now in the back of my mind, I often think like, the reason it's rewarding is not because of the reason that you think it's rewarding. It's not because we feel like these good vibes all the time, and I'm feeling super stoked and happy about like this awesome thing I'm doing for the charity. It's like, no, that's not it. The thing that I love doing most about what we do is actually developing other people and seeing them grow and thrive in my company. That's my favorite part. But another way I could describe is what we do is, I could say, you know, what do you do for a living? And I would say, you know, we actually run a very small, inexpensive, like practically free promotional fundraising events in which we spend very little money, and we maximize the amount of money that we can possibly raise by essentially using a brute force mentality of finding a very heavily populated area, and then figuring out the minimum configurable amount of words that I can use to like basically brute force and speak with as many people as possible and collect as much money as we possibly can. So brute force is how we do our job. And you're like, whoa, brute force, that sounds like strong, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, technically there's no brutish aspect of it. It's a term that comes from, you know, like hacking or like, you know, computers. But, you know, a brute force attack or a brute force something, it's like literally you're just trying every single combination that could possibly be tried and figuring out which combination is the one that's going to get you your results. So in a way, that's what we do as a business, right? So we run promotional events, and in at those events, we interact with customers and we tell them about the charity, what it does, and stuff like that. And then, you know, we also invite them to donate to the charity, explain that they're going to be extremely, like, you know, there's going to be a lot of gratitude for them doing that, and we may also give them some incentive or some reason to do it on another level, right? So because of that, it is, you know, it's dirty, you know what I mean? Like, it really is dirty. And the dirty part is not physical, it's not like tangible. I don't like physically get dirty doing what I do, but I deal with human beings, and I deal with a large amount of them in a small sitting, and that's the dirty part. Basically, humanity is the dirty part. You know, society, reality is the dirty part. And we get dirty in reality, right? Like, we get dirty in society. We go subject ourselves for 5 hours at a time, 6 hours at a time to every response that a human being could generate to us attempting to brute force and find the fewest words that I can possibly say to the largest number of people to get the best possible results, right? So in the process of doing that, it gets dirty.
I was gonna say, what you were saying yesterday, why we named it dirty work, is like, we're doing all the hard work, we're doing the work that nobody wants to do, we're out in the rain, out in the sun, we're getting the homeless guy at half five.
Yeah.
I love that description. It was
yeah.
Like, we literally do that.
Yeah.
Like, we have up the guy, we put some hand sanitizer on, we're like,
100%.
good job, bro.
Like, seriously,
you know.
You know, basically what we know is like imagine that there's everything you ever wanted. Let's just for this metaphor, let's just say there's money. There's a whole bunch of money or diamonds or something, but the diamonds are just like they're spread all out on the ground in the mud.
Oh yeah.
Cows have been walking over it. There's crap everywhere. Just all this garbage, and it's like, but there's diamonds in there. And if you're willing to roll up your sleeves and dive into the mess, like you can come out with all these diamonds and you can get all this great stuff. So it's like the mud I'm talking about is just real life. It's just out there in the world, human beings with no concern about you particularly, no preconceived notions about how they're supposed to treat you, about who you are, about why you're important, why what you do matters, any of that. Like there's just nothing. And we just go and dive into that situation and we pull out the diamonds, you know what I mean? So most people don't have diamonds. So, we do the work that other people aren't willing to do so that we can have the diamonds that other people aren't willing to have, right? And that's it. So it's dirty. You know what I mean?
It is definitely dirty.
It's dirty work.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it, 'cause sometimes when you go into the field, let's talk about this theoretical field.
Yeah.
Full of diamonds with mud, puddles, crap.
Ants, crap.
All sorts of stuff.
Well,
Sometimes you'll get to a corner that you're like, man, there might be a diamond there.
Mm-hmm.
And you go digging through it all day, there's all this crap. You got crap all over your arms, all over your hands.
Yep.
You haven't found a single diamond. And sometimes you might go days in a row doing the same thing, going all these
very little diamonds, yeah.
But I mean, the interesting thing is that the diamond is either there or it's not.
Yeah.
You know? The only thing you can control is the consistency that you look for it, and the consistency or the efficiency that you look.
Yeah.
You know, like when I actually used to work for a drilling company called AEI. It's based out in Norman.
Yeah.
It's called basically we work with environmentalists and we drill holes so that people can put pipes. That's basically the gist of it. And it gets really dirty. Like sometimes we'd be drilling down to the earth. And when we pull the mud out of the earth, we actually have to put it in bags so we can sample it and we can see if it's good, if it's safe to put pipe in. And there'd be times where like there'd be mud, clay, all sorts of stuff, and it'd slip off the drill, and all the mud and all the clay would spray all over you. And I remember one day, Logan, please forgive me if you're hearing this.
Shout out to Logan.
My brother Logan.
Yeah.
So I had taken his Nike hoodie. He loved this hoodie. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he took his senior pictures in this hoodie. And I had worn it every day in the field to because I didn't have a jacket. And so on the day that we were drilling, it was my turn to learn how to put the sample bag on the drill, get the sample in, pull it off.
Yeah.
And my hands were soaking with mud because we had been in a really muddy spot.
Yeah.
And when I was pulling the bag, it completely slipped through my arm. So I got mud here a little bit, but because I had only held the bag for a second, I literally got all the clay, all the mud, all over my, I had it on my helmet, on my goggles, my mouth, my shirt. It was everywhere. And
that's good.
Yikes. I don't know what I did with that jacket, actually.
That's hilarious.
I hope I chucked it, because, man, that's awesome. It was something else. But going along with we had some people have to just do the dirty work to get what they need,
Well, someone's got to do it. It's our catchphrase, right?
Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it. I think that there's something to be said about the humbling process of being the person who does the dirty work, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not that everybody I think agrees that dirty work needs to be done.
Yeah.
But who's gonna be the one who does it, right? You have to be humble enough to say look, if this stuff needs to be done, then I'm the one. I'd be willing to establish the fact that I'm not special, that I am the type of person who gets the job done, right? And this is that type of mentality, and be willing to do the dirty work and be willing to get the job done no matter what. That's the makings of all the biggest success stories in the history of the world. You know what I mean? While at the same time, it's work that people try to avoid or they wouldn't want to be doing. But it's also work that stands to benefit you and everyone else the most. It's the work that like if there is work and it's dirty and someone has quote got to do it, then it's important. Then it's worth doing, right? Because if the premise was you only do jobs that were glamorous, that were exciting, that were fun, that were extremely positive to do, it's like, man, there would be everybody in the world trying to get the exact same job. You know what I mean? Like whatever was the nicest and most cushy job that there is, that's the one that everyone would be going for. So by humbling yourself and being the one who does, you know, the work that has to be done that is not pleasant, but at the same time, it's the work that probably makes some of the biggest impact. Because if we're choosing to do it in spite of its like the blemishes, you know, in spite of the fact that it's not clean, it's not exciting, it's not fun, then most likely it is work that stands to make a big impact. It stands to also give you a lot of great meaning and value out of what you do. You know what I mean? So I forget what's the name of there's a name of a show that is very similar to our podcast name. It's Dirty Jobs.
Oh, Dirty Jobs. I love that show as a kid.
I love Dirty Jobs. Yes, it was just so cool to see that like these jobs are the jobs that make everything possible. They're the jobs that are happening behind the scenes, that are like the ones that make you be proud to be a person, to have ingenuity, to live in the country that you live in, to accomplish the things that you accomplish, to enjoy the modern world that you live in. Like the modern world is built off dirty work. Everything that's ever happened has been where the dam has been, you know, built off dirty work. I wish that the airflow was in this room was better, but it is not. We need to get like an air filter. We could definitely use a fan in here. So
man, yeah.
Note to podcast gods, like get a fan for the room. But you know, I think it's probably gonna happen more often since it's like getting cold outside. So because we have the heater on more often in here, and it's kind of like the heater's gonna be going. So well, and it's one of those things where you almost can't dress perfectly because like I've got my long johns on because you know I rode my bike over to the office today, and it's freaking chilly outside.
It is so cool outside.
So yeah, you get prepared for being outside, and then you come and sit in an office. So it's gonna happen. No doubt, man. So I know I want to say you had a couple things for us to talk about, which I think we're already in one, right? So,
I think we talked about a lot of the stuff. Actually, like what I was kind of thinking about, like asking you was we did talk about like mental resilience a little bit. We talked about kind of how to maintain your cool in a negative situation. But something I wanted to ask you was, how do you keep your cool with you have a lot of liabilities in your company, like not just, you know, sites or digital media or like event locations. The biggest liability you have are the people you work for, or that work for you. So how do you maintain your cool when one person slips up, not intending to, fourfold, tenfold, because you have so many employees?
Well, I mean, obviously that's the name of the game. Like that's the risk that you take to benefit from, right, as a business owner. And in general, not all businesses are as dependent on the amount of people that we work with on a regular basis, right? So we have lots of people that work for the company, and in a way I always kind of joke because I say my company the sole investment that it makes is in people. And ultimately, in general, people are not the best investment.
The worst investment.
They could almost be the worst investment. I mean, yeah, they definitely have the potential to be the worst investment. Why? It's like, well, people change. People can be unreliable. They're not machines. They don't do exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They're not programmed to do anything. They decide what they're going to do themselves. And because of that, like, it's the risk you take, but it's also like the source of some of the most rewarding aspects of what I do. So I deal with the risk, I deal with the liability by accepting it well in advance and like also expecting everything to go wrong. So for instance, I'll make the analogy to what we do when we're in the field. So when we go to a promotional event, we know, and statistically this is just like the thing that this industry is built off in promotional events or in a lot of other forms of like, you know, active direct marketing, which is, you know, there is a statistical outcome that is pretty much true no matter where you are or what you're doing or what you're offering or what the situation is, that approximately, and it depends on the type of campaign and what you're doing, but I would say there's a hefty range of somewhere between 10 to 30% of people will do X if presented the opportunity with it to do it in the right situation, right? So that's just as like a statistical fact. Now, when we do charity fundraising at promotional events, we find that about 20 to 30% of people are going to donate to the charity every day, no matter what charity I'm working for, no matter what I'm doing, no matter any of the situations. That's just like a statistical fact. So because of that, we take advantage of that, right? So, and it doesn't require that we be the best salespeople. What it requires is that we show up and we do the thing that you have to do to get the results, right? So that's all we really have to do, is show up and do the thing that we know works, because it's going to work and we're going to get the result. But then you have to hire people to do that, right? And people are going to let you down. People are going to have bad days. People are going to like not want to wake up and do the thing today, right? And sometimes I wake up and I don't want to do the thing as well. So like, the way you deal with the risk and the liability is that you use yourself. Oh, it's funny. This comes back to like to what we talked about at the very end of our last podcast, which was that like, I'm really good at simulating what other people are thinking in my head, and basically like accessing the way that they're feeling and thinking. And because I can like mirror and start to like absorb what the other person is thinking and feeling, then I can also help guide that person to take the actions that they need to take, or to accomplish the thing they need to accomplish. Because like I'm accessing your thought process, and I'm gonna like hack it. Like I'm gonna present you with ways of thinking and logic, chunks of logic that are going to guide you to getting the same results that I got, right? So if I can do it myself, and I can also mirror your thought process, then I can teach you through your thought process how to get the results that I get through my process. So there's like a little conversion happening in there. Okay. So to deal with the risk of what I do is to accept that it will be my job to bridge that gap. It will be my job to access your thoughts and feelings as best as I can, and to understand what they are. And then I'm gonna basically take my thought process and my actions, and I'm gonna graft them onto yours, and I'm going to essentially complete that process over and over and over, so that if I do it first, I can mirror you and then pass on my thought process and my way of doing it to you, and then you're going to be able to do it. And I just trust that I'm able to do that. That's it. That's how I deal with the stress and the risk and the reliability issues. Everyone's going to be unreliable, because everybody is not as proficient at the thing that they need to be at. But in our business, at what we do, like, my ability to be proficient is going to be the number one determining factor of if you will be proficient, right? So that is why I'm confident, is because if I can do it, I know you can do it, because I wouldn't have hired you. There were certain criteria I was looking for to make sure that you were the type of person who could possibly, I could duplicate my skill set with. I could teach you how to do this, right? And there might even be things about you that maybe even make you better at the thing that I'm going to teach you than me, right? So you might be better at it. And as long as you've got certain X criterion, then I feel confident that given enough time and enough commitment and effort from you, that I am going to, there's no way I can fail, right? If you want to be here, if you want to do the thing that I'm teaching you, and I know how to do it, and I can access your thoughts and feelings, and I can transmit mine, then we can both do it. You know what I mean? Then you're going to be able to do it.
That sounds like a stress relief type situation. You're like stressing to give all this information, do all this training, give all this responsibility. You're like, I hope he does it. And then he does it. You're like, oh my goodness. That sounds really stressful.
It could be, but it's not. Because
okay.
There's safety measures in place, right? So
right.
I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket. I'm not going to risk everything for one thing. So everything else needs to be running pretty smoothly. Then I'm going to take the risk strategically on you in one way. I'm going to give you the opportunity to succeed or fail. And I'm going to expect that you actually fail. And that's okay, because the way that you fail is going to give me insight into the way that you're going to succeed as well. So if I can get you to fail first and fail fast, then the faster you fail, the faster I'm going to figure out why you're failing. Then the next thing is going to be, all right, now that I know how you're failing, how do I graft my thought process and my abilities and my skills onto you so that you can see the same thing that I see and actually overcome that challenge in that way. So
I just got something. I just kind of connect to something kind of cool.
Yeah.
That kind of ties into like the field work. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have an employee, a field agent.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of being able to go through this analogy. And oh man, I'm already starting to lose the vision. No. Okay,
Right.
no, but you have a situation, and the faster that you notice a bad habit, or the moment you notice that you're negged out, the moment you notice a bad correlation, or between what you say and the reaction of somebody else, the faster you get to solve that, and the faster you get to actually be efficient. And you can establish a program or kind of a process to be successful at the end of your day. You take that and you put it into your position right now. Like you're doing that with your employees. They're your event. We're your events. You know, being like,
you are,
okay,
yes,
perfect. Like this is the problem. I know it might not go well, but we're gonna test it out. Didn't go well. Great. Now I know. Next time, let's try doing this early on before it's like a year down the road, and you're still a liability. You know, that's so. Okay, that kind of explains my next question of how you figured all this out. It's because you spent years in the field. You basically just took everything you applied from the field and literally just
so much so this is kind of like, that's the kicker of working in this industry is I think that some people fail to see this, and it's really like what the people who do recognize it and realize it will usually at least stick around in the industry long enough to like really pick up all the skill sets that they're going to need to make certain things happen. So for instance, people often say like, like Ty, I've been working here for 3 or 4 months, and I've done a lot of events now, and I'm getting kind of bored, and it's kind of stagnant, and like I'm just doing the same thing every day. I'm talking to all these different people, I'm dealing with all this BS, I'm at these different events, all this stuff is going wrong, this, that, and the other, and I'm like, and then there's the person who is like wanting to be like me, or be like a business owner, or be an entrepreneur, and then I start to explain to them that like, okay, what you're learning to do in the field right now is the same as managing a group of people. So when I'm at an event, I have no control over who I'm going to be talking to. It's going to be a very diverse group of people from different backgrounds, different age levels, different groups, different income levels, different everything, right? There's going to be it's not completely random, but it's going to be, to me, it's going to be fairly random. And because it's so fairly random that like I have to just walk in, do a lot of reads, do a lot of adapting, do a lot of tailoring the message that I'm going to be saying to the person that I'm talking to. And I'm going to take that skill set, and I'm going to put myself in an office location, and I'm going to have a ton of people who work in my company that come from very diverse backgrounds, and they're going to all be in different situations in different places in their life, and I'm going to have to tailor each message that I tell them so that that message is going to have the effect that I want it to have, and they're going to be able to take the action that I need them to take, and that they're going to need to take to be successful. So the same skill set that we're using every day in the field is the same skill set that you will use to be a great manager of a large group of people. It's going to be the same thing that you do to motivate the action that you need to happen so that the machine or the business or the thing can work and be as smooth as it needs to be. So it's the same thing. Like, by you mastering the thing in the field, you are mastering the thing in the office as well. So I had one of our employees currently. He's older, and by older I mean he's not like 70. He's like 45, and tons of experience. He has management experience. He was an operations manager. There was all kinds of experience going on in the world that he was a part of. So he's been around. He's done a lot of high level stuff, and when he took the job, I think it was like, how long was he working here? He was maybe working here for like a few weeks or a month. I remember we were doing either a breakdown or a network meeting or something like that, and he was like, Ty, I'm so freaking impressed by the people that you have working here and what they're able to accomplish right now. So, you know, we had a development executive in our company, which is essentially like it's like a lead trainer and like a middle management position here, and he's really young. He's like 22 or 23 years old. In fact, another mind-blowing kind of thought is that the director of operations in our other location in Boise, Idaho, he is only 22 years old. So,
I'm 22.
And you're only 22. So, you know, the question was that Chet asked you was, my God, like how are you getting these 22-year-olds to be like this professional, this on top of things, this in control of their like lives and the thing that they're accomplishing? And I go, you know, like, I never thought of it that way, but like at the same time, because like I don't think that thinking about your age is necessarily the real variable that's going to help me like lead you or manage you or train you. It's going to be like, it's going to present things, but the good thing about a business is that, you know, there's a way of doing things that is ideal, and it's ideal for anyone, anywhere, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like it changes. So the benefit of teaching people outside of an academic setting, so like you know, instead of like I was before, like a college professor, it's so much easier and smoother to teach people in a work setting, because their reasons for being here are different than they would be at college. They are the outcomes are different, and the consequences are bigger or less, and ultimately there is a way that you need to behave. There's this thing called professionalism, and younger people, they have to learn it and they have to know it. And older people also probably could, you know, use some lessons on being more professional as well. But the setting and the mentality and the thing you need to be doing to be really successful at our company or at any business is the same for everyone. So because it is, everybody's learning it simultaneously, everybody is adopting it, everybody is like vicariously learning through the examples that each other is setting along the way, and they are, you know, they're able to get better faster than you would think that they would be. They're able to get more proficient and better at, you know, better at problem solving and better at, you know, managing people and better at being the person that they need to be to command the respect that they need to respect to be a reliable business partner, someone that you work with for, you know, for a very long time. So it's all the same no matter who you are, and that makes it really easy for people coming into the company to just like look at the examples around them, because like if someone is getting respect and someone is doing the right things around here, they're gonna look like the same as everyone else, and you're gonna see that principle like play out. You're gonna see that thing happening every single time if people are diligent and they're moving forward and they're adopting like what they need to adopt to be successful for the company. So yeah, there is some fear associated with what we do, and people will let you down, but if you know they're going to let you down and you plan for them to let you down, and then you also plan to have them let you down and to make up for it and to use that opportunity to teach them new things, then it's a good thing that they let you down. Everyone's got to let you down a little bit. No one, like the person who never let me down, who was always 100% reliable, who always did exactly what they said they were going to do, they were actually like not good. Like that, believe it or not, the thing that they said they were going to do or the thing that they do consistently is just not good. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's you're gonna find out really quickly if the people that you're working with are the right people, and you're going to recognize. Or this is a tough part. This is a tricky part. Is that you're not always able to recognize exactly who's gonna be the one that makes the biggest difference. Who's the one who's gonna be super successful? Who's the one that's gonna like change everything? You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to tell who that is.
That's so hard. And I mean, you being a communications major, also a business owner,
yeah,
I imagine you already have lots of experience with that. You know, especially, I mean, you've owned T&D for almost 3 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
3 years?
Yeah, so, let's see. So 28, this is not, we're almost like at the anniversary right now.
Really?
Yeah.
You can do a celebration, like a party.
So where, hold on, give me a second.
Dude.
I think it was like October. It might have been October 27th? Hold on. I want to find that out. So I'm going to go back and find out when my company opened. I want to say it was... I know January 17th is when we opened the Boise office. Let's go find out. Oh wait, hold on. This is the wrong tracker. I was like, what? This is definitely not when we started the company. Oh man, I was going way further back. 12th. October 12th. So we just passed the anniversary. So what is it, the 28th today? So October 12th, right? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, October 12th was the first day of operations of T&D Solutions.
So you passed our anniversary.
We passed our anniversary on the 12th.
Wow.
I'm not super ritualistic or ceremonial.
Right.
I'm definitely it's not me. But yeah, it was October 12th, and I believe it was 2019. So October 12th, 2019, which means that we are just over 3 years of in business. So that's man, it's been crazy, man. It's been a
wild ride.
It really has been a wild ride. Like it's been very lovely and enriching. It's been man, I've learned so much, and it was really, what's cool and interesting is that my brother-in-law, when he started dating my sister when I was probably 17 or 18 years old. My sister's about 6 years older than me, so she was, if I was 17, so I had 6, yeah, she was like 23, 24. Clint, who is my sister's husband now, Clint was 27. Yeah, so 27, my sister was about 23 or 24, and that's when they started dating, and I got to watch, him start his business, and it was not glamorous, right? So he rented out an office space, he had a single, little office, and actually he had a partner at the time, and he works in logistics, and in logistics, you're essentially, mapping out, creating, and facilitating all the movement of products from one place to another, one business to another, and one location to another. And it was just him and his buddy. His name was Jason. R.I.P. to Jason. Jason actually died really sadly early in his life. But Jason died, and Clint ended up taking over the business, and I watched him from just going to a single office, like one, I forget what they call it. There's a very specific type of office.
Like a cubicle? No.
It was bigger than, it was a big cubicle. It was a room.
Okay.
It was like a single room. So, but I'm trying to think of what it would. There's a name for them now because I see them around. I see them at the places we work at. So. Yeah, it was definitely, there was no reason to have anything else. There was like a desk, there were 2 desks, 2 computers, 2 guys sitting there, and the only thing that was good about it was at like a nice building. So it was at like a nice hotel, I think it was at the W. So they were on like it was the 20th floor on the W Hotel in Austin, Texas, and I would go chill with him while he would be at work because I'd be bored, and I would watch him do his job, and I would watch him make calls and this and the other, and he had a lot of trouble getting his business really rocking and rolling. So he was really good at what he did. He was really good at he was really good at selling his service. He was really good at getting people to use him as logistics, and he could never quite get an employee to be the one that would help grow his company forward. I remember he had this problem where everybody who started working for him would quickly find out how he started his company, how he got access to the systems and the stuff that he did to make himself successful. And as soon as they would figure that out, maybe in a month or 2 after working there, Clint would lose them. They would just quit, and they would be now he has new competition. So there was lots of people going to his company not knowing about what he did. They learned about what he did. They were I could do this for myself. Why am I even working for this guy? And then they leave and go do another thing. So he had this really, really tough time retaining people at his company. So Fast forward 10 years later. No, wait, 10 years. 10 years I would have been 27. Fast forward to 15 years later. His business is doing very well. So their logistics company, him and my sister's, does approximately, I think they're projected to do $70 million this year, which is really, 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 really good for like a family-owned logistics company with just him, his wife, and like a few good people. That's like unheard of. Now, the reason that he is where he is now is because a few things. One, his processes, his workflow, his everything has been revamped and redesigned because he found the right programmer, the right guy to come into his company and to totally change all the things that have been holding him back from getting better. And then he retained those employees like very consistently because he paid them right, he paid them the money that they were worth, and then he gained that loyalty from them where they would never leave him, they never abandon him, unless, you know, it was like what was best for everyone. But him changing his approach to people, to taking on the risk, the thing that you just talked about, is the reason why he went from doing 1 million a year to 70 million a year. It was because of that thing. He is a business owners tend to be this way. They don't really trust anyone. This is their baby, this is the thing that they created, and it's very hard to trust someone who's going to take the reins of your thing, right? But he learned how to trust people, he learned how to depend on them, he learned how to have them make decisions instead of him, and he skyrocketed from just 1 million to 70 million in the span of like 3 years, which is kind of crazy because, every one of my offices will generate $1 million or more every year. But like, to go that long, to work your butt off the way that he did, and to save the money, and to ultimately humble himself and get better at taking the risk of having people in his company, he is now doing as good as he could ever do. So it changed the game radically, and proud to have that dude as my brother, proud to have my sister to be my sister, but like, their mind is blown when they see what I've done. You know what I mean? They're like, dude, you've only been doing this for 3 years? Oh my God. Like, they're gonna meet you one day.
Really?
Oh yeah, they're definitely gonna meet you. And
Obviously,
yes,
we're
yes,
like
yes,
the
yes.
next month or so.
Because my sister actually is one of my company's clients.
I'm gonna have to.
You're gonna meet my sister. And like, man, they see our company, they see our people, and they're like, oh man, dude, like, these guys are awesome. These are sharp kids. Like, these guys are good. Like, where are you finding these guys? Well, how are you, and then they talk a little bit with me. They kind of like fish to see like what my philosophy is and how I've done it and this, that, and the other. And then they're just like, I say it, and they're like, that's exactly what we did. That's exactly what we're doing. That changed the game. It took us from this million to this million. It took us from this to this. Like, the thing that you already do so well in your company is so the valuable thing that almost every other company doesn't do very well, and therefore they suffer and they're limited in what they're able to do because they can't manage the people. So it's the people that make the difference. It's the people is everything. So in ours, it's obvious because like, there can be nothing happening but with people, you know what I mean? Like, there's literally no way that we can sell anything, there's no way we can do anything, there's no way we can, there is no service and there is no product without every human being like getting out there and doing what we're supposed to be doing. So that's what's up with us, man. It's pretty darn cool to think that one of the trickier and tougher parts of running a company is something that we do naturally here, and we do it better than most people. And it took my brother and sister, 15 years to learn how to do what we do, and we learn it here on day one, like right off the bat. So it's freaking stoked.
That is so dope.
It's really cool. I like it a lot.
Here we work with people. That's what we do.
And honestly, I think when it comes down to it, all companies are just people. Right. A company is people, and it's only as good as the people who are in it. So if you work for a shitty company, it's the people. You know what I mean?
100%.
It's the people. It always is. Dude, I was like, how on earth did we like literally talk for 2 hours straight? So we thought our first podcast was so how did you describe it? You said it felt like it took freaking forever. Like, literally we were doing it for like hours, and it only ended up being an hour and a half. And then this one felt like I literally thought we were doing it for like 30 minutes, and it ended up being like over 2 hours. So,
Yeah.
freaking ridiculous.
We've become resilient.
How the hell did we did that? I don't know how we got this far, man. But, you know, the last thing we were kind of talking about, like the theme that we were just like, you know, a company is made up of people, and like, you know, the quality of those people is going to determine the experience of what it's like to work for that company, and I think obviously like what the company produces in the end. And I feel extremely grateful to work in an industry and with people, and that like people is the product, right? So I talk about this, you know, at our company all the time. They're like, there's really nothing that we do. Like there's a thing that we do, and the thing that we do is we're humans, and we do human communication to the max, and we do it in a way that it solves problems for ourselves, it solves problems for other companies. You know, we solve problems, and we solve our own problems, and we build relationships with each other, and we build relationships with customers and clients and everything in between. It's just like relationships. That's what like relationships are, like the thing that make us a business. Our relationships make us a business, and our ability to communicate makes us a successful product. You know what I mean? Like that's it.
Something I was going to say that I actually want to carry into the next podcast maybe next week is, I don't remember how I thought about this, but what we learned here at a company and as a business, we like communicating with other people. That's what people get to take home and apply into their own lives.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that's something like we should definitely talk about. The application of like what we do.
Well, and it's funny because we were talking that this podcast that we just literally are filming right now, like this one will probably be like extremely useful for someone who actually like technically works at our company, to like get some perspective on like people who do this, people are doing it well. What do they think? How do they think? What are they doing? But like, I think just like you said, it's going to be one that, it's funny how we talk about our business as though it's something exclusive, because like, you know, not everyone does what we do, but we talk about what we do like it's exclusive. But like, I'm pretty sure other people who probably watch this are like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, this is the same as all companies. Like, this is the same as what we do. This has happened in my company as well. And like, I'm sure it does to the different, you know, varying level degrees. But like, it's definitely, it's the only thing happening in our company. So it's like the only thing that really is to talk about it. You know what I mean? So you want to talk about, we definitely want to touch on that. And then there was one other thing that I wanted to touch on, which you were asking about resilience, right?
How do you build mental resilience?
Yeah, so you were like, we talked about like, what does mental resilience look like? But I would say there's actually like, there's a ton of things that have technically led to me being extremely mentally like resilient in my life. And I'd say some of it is work, some of it is like my outside of life experiences, but definitely I'd like to get into that in the future too. And honestly, we probably need to get someone on here. Like, there's probably someone who has better mental resilience than me, but I would say I'm pretty tough. But you know, I think over time, you talk to enough people and you hear enough like just crazy nonsense that you're gonna like have to build some mental resilience, like 100%. And you know, the older you get, the more resilient you get. So, but. No, like my brother and my sister were saying, they're always like, honestly, Chet, who works here, we're super impressed at like how like the caliber of person that comes out of our company, regardless of what age they are, you know, like whether they're 20 or, you know, 22 or, you know, we've had people who came to work here who were like 18 years old or 17 years old. And I remember one of the girls who used to work here, she came for team night and she brought her mom. And, you know, we were teaching, that particular team night was like a development one. So we weren't like going to play games or anything. We were like, we were doing like a future planning one.
Oh, vision board?
Yeah, it was I want to say it was 30, 60, 90s or it was step 7s. And we were talking about like, you know, these are the goals that I want to accomplish in the future. This is how they're going to happen. This is breaking them into different parts. And like, this is why I want it to happen. And I remember she brought her mom in for that, that meeting. And I think her mom kind of was like, there's no way that like a marketing company who's like, doing anything is going to like have you like come work at their company. You're only 18. You don't know what you're talking about. And when she showed up and saw like what we were doing, I remember like, she was like, listen to this very closely. Like, this is very important stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's like her mom could clearly tell like the value of the stuff that we were teaching, and that like I'm sure her mom had probably like wanted her to understand stuff like we were teaching her there at the company, but like, you know, maybe she didn't think she could, or like it wasn't gonna land, like it wasn't gonna land with her, or like, you know, maybe her daughter would have discounted it because like it was her mom telling her. But like when she saw what we were teaching her, she was just like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. Like this is what you're teaching her. Like he's totally right. Like what you think about, you know, like, and this is the only, like when as you older you get, this is what's more important, this, that, and the other. So the development and the things that you know we bring to the people who work here, like they're pretty universally applicable. So just like you said, in the future when we talk about like what you can take away from our podcast, or what you can take away from the nonsense that we're talking about every day, it's the same that anyone can take away from it, because we're not going to talk about it in a way that's like exclusionary. Like we're not going to like only use lingo or jargon that like only we understand. It's going to be talked about in a way that's going to be functional and useful for anyone who you know, who watches it. And hopefully, you know, like, I don't know, maybe they'll learn a little something about it. There's very few people who've ever worked at my company that didn't tell me that after they left that they, you know, like their communication with their family didn't get better, or that they were better able to communicate with their jobs in the future, or their bosses in the future. I have literally, you know, I've run my own company for 3 years, and I have I've worked at other people's companies in the industry for about 5 to 6 years in total. So between all that, you know, I have talked to a lot of people in our companies, and you know, there are very few who will not tell me that there was some aspect of a relationship with their family, or with their significant other, or with the people that they work with, or the people around them, or the people at school. Like communication can help solve every problem, right? And like that's one of the things I used to tell people as a communication major and teacher, is that, you know, when done right, communication can pretty much solve almost any problem, or at least it can help avoid any negative outcome that is going to be like engineered or designed or happen because of another person. Like communication can like solve all problems. So like if you have a problem, like go communicate it to the person who can help or make a difference. And if you don't, then like, you know, you don't have an excuse to be complaining. So well, dude, that's it, man. I know you got you're about to go see your fiance's family, correct?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Rock and roll. So enjoy that. Well, I'm actually waiting for my fiance to come pick me up from work. So,
nice.
Man, dude, it's always great to do this. We'll do it again soon, and have a great night, man.
I think so.
Let's go.